And welcome to Goal Chat Live. I'm Debra Eckerling, author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and founder of the Deb Method. And every Sunday night, I host the Goal Chat Twitter chat where we share our wins, goals, and talk about a special topic. And in May, we've been talking about reconnecting because isn't that what we've all been doing these days? Okay, we've been reconnecting, and we did reconnecting with your people and your body. And so, of course, we have to wrap the month talking about reconnecting with your spirit. We have Dr. Meg Haworth and Suzanne Gundersen and Robert Manolson. Meg.
Hey. So, Dr. Meg Haworth, and I am a transpersonal psychologist and a holistic nutritional chef. And so I've had 25 years in the holistic healing industry, and I do, in my private practice, I focus on helping women abuse survivors with chronic illness, release the emotional root cause of illness, working with the holistic system. So I also look at their diet and their mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And then I also teach Evolving Intuition, Building Self-Trust for Life, and it is a online course that I teach, and it's a lifetime access program with a community and live coaching every week. And it's just, I love it so much. It's so much fun. And then I certify people in my whole person integration technique, which is the technique I use, mind-body technique I use to help people heal and release emotional congestions, thoughts, feelings, and beliefs stuck in the energy field. So that's the nutshell.
Robert, why don't you introduce yourself and guess why you are here with this amazing group today?
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Debra, for the invitation to accompany you and these beautiful women who do amazing healing techniques. And I'm just all about fun at work. So if we can if we can happy it up in the workplace, that is the most cost-effective strategy to raise positive mental health levels in today's wacky world of work. So I'm pushing the mental health message behind the value of fun at work and the value of play. So thank you.
So I'm Suzanne Gundersen, and for 15 years I've been working in natural stress management, only to help myself overcome my own stress in my life. And I also do work with screenwriters, but what I really do is help people, transform their stress naturally and reconnect with their bodies and their lives. And I use techniques that are based in neuroscience and energy methods to be able to help people clear the unresolved issues in the tissues, in the emotions, in the mental mind, and be able to get to a place of more peace and wisdom. And I did translate this work about 5 or 6 years ago to working specifically with screenwriters to help them clear their writer's block. And so I really appreciate and enjoy working with writers who may be kind of in that rolling up of the sleeves of their script and going, oh no, I'm stuck and I don't know what's going on. And it typically has to do with something in their own personal world that's been unresolved, that I kind of help them go clean up and get to a place of more familiarity and comfort and acceptance about. That way they can effortlessly finish their script or wherever they're taking their script. So that's what I do.
So basically, anybody who has like gunk in their brain can go to any one of you to have their issues resolved in a different way. Let's talk about self-care. So you all are part of a facet of self-care, whether it is healing the body, the mind, the spirit, the play, the fun, the whatever. It's important. And I know people know it's important because it's important, but what do you think is the value behind self-care?
I really believe, self-care is such a big buzzword these days. I feel like it gets overused along with the, self-love. What really we're looking for is safety and connection with ourself, first and foremost. We've been living such disconnected existences because we've been just like trudging through the momentum of life and just bearing down on all of what's coming at us. And so I think, how I would define self-care would be really to, slow down, find what feels good, even in your body first, in your surroundings, and start to connect with that. And notice, oh, I like that shirt I'm wearing, or I like when it's this temperature in the room, or I like my soft pillow. And that is really what self-care is about, is starting to kind of orient ourselves to our surroundings. That way we can become more alive. So I think that, we're really waking up to these very transformative times that we're living in. We have an opportunity to connect with ourselves in ways we never have before. So self-care is more about connecting and attaching first and foremost with yourself. And then when you build some momentum with that and build some good rapport with your own body and your own emotions, and you've got some regulation skills, then certainly offer a lending hand to somebody else through a smile, So I think self-care is not just doing it for yourself, but then getting good at that and then sharing it with another to, help really strengthen the social connection of the world.
So let me just fly in with this message. Mental health optimism. So when you were sharing that, that's where my head was going, right? Because it's all about your relationship with yourself and your relationship with people, things, and events around you, and switching, in some capacity to something called mental health optimism. So when I heard you talk about self-care, how could I not have felt optimistic? How could I have not embraced the idea of optimism? Because you're suggesting that we have the capacity to move from where we are to something better over here. So thank you for that. That was really cool.
Isn't that why we set goals? Because we want something different from our lives. We want to get from here to there. And the whole attitude, I mean, you're never going to find anybody more optimistic than me, probably, because we jump in with faith that things can be better. Because why would we go on the journey if we didn't think that things would be different?
Well, I'm gonna ask the good doctor to comment on something I'm going to say. And I've said this to Debra in the past, and she received it with great kindness.
I'm a little concerned.
You use the word goals, right? And one time I said to you, like, the word goal is just a 4-letter word that I would never use, right? And I kind of embraced the word intentions. What do you think, good doctor?
Yeah, now I love the word intention. And I use that actually quite a lot with my clients and also in my own life. The word goal, I mean, if we're going to pick the word apart.
No, please.
I'm just kidding. No, the concept of it and all. I think a lot of people associate it with business and more structured, we're creating this, we're putting this out there for this thing. I think resonance of words are really powerful, and what resonates with one person may not resonate with another person. And in the spiritual development world, we often do talk about intention and setting that intention and then visualizing and creating and bringing that in. And so that's, that's kind of what I might add to that. And it does have to do with the resonance in the person too. If it doesn't speak to them, it's not going to feel right. They're not going to go into it with, open arms. And that's what I think we want to do as people that help transform other people's lives is get them feeling like, wow, I really want to rush into this self-care, which I think really is, it's getting to know yourself, and that most of us are so disconnected from who we really are. And self-care is not like, get a massage, get a pedicure. Like that's like baby up here, that's pampering, which is nice and wonderful, but connecting with yourself deeply, and intentions and goals are one way to do that, because you're bringing out what's inside and really looking at it.
Yeah, I think we need to have those kinds of things, because if we don't, the world can just absorb us into its ADD nature. And there's just so much overstimulation that comes at us that we don't have a lack of variety to choose from. So we have to have, we have to focus on something. And therein lies one of the other buzzwords that we were tossing around as to why we wanted to get together with this group of people, was because we don't have a real practice about focusing. We just let anything that comes into our awareness be the thing that we put our attention to. And we really need to have that kind of structure around goals and intentions to keep ourselves moving in a direction that we want to move in. Or time goes by so fast. I mean, I'm 50 this year, and it's like, what happened in the last 5 years? What? Huh? Where'd it go? Oh, hello? Didn't I just celebrate my 45th birthday, and I thought I was still so young? Oh my gosh. And I know I'm still young, yes, but still, wow.
Robert, although I do appreciate your feelings about the G word, that is when the D and the Deb method is determine your mission, and it all leads to figuring out your mission and your motto. So when you look at the life you want, it isn't the goal, it's the life you want. It's the goals are what you set to reach what I call goalsopia. So I think we agree and disagree simultaneously, which is always fun, but is really, whatever words you use, you need to, when you give yourself time as a gift, whether it's for the pampering or the being true to yourself or figuring out what you want to be when you grow up or to play so you can explore different things, we're all just yes. The answer is yes.
And what does that mean? The answer is yes.
The answer is whatever self-care means to you,
right?
Whatever the future means to you, whatever intentional steps you take to get to the life you want. Wait, I'm doing the interviewing. I'm not doing the talking. Let's back up a little bit. Anybody else want to share anything else about the value of self-care, or else, and you're going to love the next question, or else I'm ready to move on.
Well, I'll throw in one more piece of actually it's a short story. So here's a real life short story. So a year ago, heading into the months of June, July, and August, I found myself falling back towards something that had the potential to be another episode of depression and anxiety. And mental illness, depression, and anxiety runs 4 generations deep in my family, on both sides of my family, my mother and my father. But I knew I needed to do something for my self-care. And having experienced multiple episodes of depression over the past number of years, first and foremost, I sought out the support of a psychologist online. And my physiotherapist said to me one day, well, we have a psychologist right here out of our office. Why don't I connect the two of you? So I share that with you because sometimes we talk about self-care as being something that's physical. It's a physical activity. And self-care for the mind. In fact, there's a term for that. It's called mental fitness. It's like physical fitness, but it's mental fitness. So I put together a self-care plan last year, June, July, and August, and started to seek out the support of a psychologist. And that was one step towards building my mental fitness plan. So I just wanted to share that with you. We often get caught up in the physical activities, be it going for a walk, be it yoga, going for a Reiki session, to gardening. But sometimes we need to step back and ask ourselves, in order to do that, what do I need to do to take care of myself mentally? And that's probably the first step towards self-care.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Yes. See, I like that. The reason I do these, first of all, I love bringing friends from different parts of my life together so they get to meet each other in my community and vice versa. But this is why I have you 3 people together for this topic. And you're absolutely right. Self-care is the body, the soul, and the spirit, which leads me to my next question. See what I did there? So how do you nourish your spirit? And I'll even take it one step further is, let's say you're depleted. So not only how do you nourish your spirit, but when you need to refill your, whether you call it refilling your cup or your energy or what have you. So how do you nourish your spirit, and what do you do when you need to like reboot yourself? Meg?
Yeah, I love being in nature. So being by the ocean, it's lucky I live in LA, so just go and watch the ocean and be in the sand and all of that. Meditation is something that I use. Books that are spiritual and just like sometimes I'll just open a book on my shelf to a page and there's a message there waiting for me, especially if I'm feeling kind of down and depleted. Food is a big thing that I use to help me with my mood, because there are a lot of foods that are making people really anxious and causing all kinds of depression and those kinds of issues. So I will, eat make a wonderful green smoothie or something. It just helps me feel so much better. It's a great pick me up. I have sort of I think all of us probably have big lists, but I also love to write. As you know, I've written a number of books, but I love to journal, and that's really helpful for self-care. And then also visualizing what I desire to create in my life, visualizing what I want to bring in, and getting my self in that space of feeling again, feeling that love and all of that. And of course, I use my technique on myself. That helps a lot. So, plug.
But that's what we do, right? I say I created the Deb method using the Deb method.
Yeah.
We share the things that work for us, but in a way, it's not in a way. We do this to help other people. So obviously, why wouldn't we test it? I am a huge fan of journaling. Anybody who's ever heard me speak or read my book knows, for me, journaling is like the go-to for getting all the gunk out of your body and onto the page, so you're not holding onto it. Suzanne.
So interestingly enough, last year we had this whole COVID experience, and I got a chance to really slow down and spend some time with my nephew, and he was 3 at the time. And I think there's no better experience, for me at least, there wasn't, than to be kind of crawling around the floor with a 3-year-old for a few weeks when there was nothing better else to do. And so while I normally would say, the ocean is, 100 yards that direction from me and has been for the last 20 years of my life. I'm very blessed to say I put my toes in the sand every day, and I need that water around me. And that's definitely something that nurtures my soul and has me feeling connected to my higher source. But last year, the experience of being with a little 3-year-old, really just the innocence of the 3-year-old and the playfulness and the exploration and the excitement, and everything is just fair, and other than when there's a temper tantrum, but just being with that little innocence was just so special. It just kind of brought my own childlike innocence back into my spirit. And I haven't lost touch with that, thankfully, even though we're not there anymore in lockdown. And I have a really special bond with him, which is wonderful too.
I love that. And it's play. So Robert, chime in, feel free.
Well, I have the wonderful privilege, or Sharon and I have the wonderful privilege of living fairly close to the Rocky Mountains. And so for us, fairly close is a 3.5 to 4 hour drive to Banff, Alberta, or Jasper, Alberta. So Sharon and I nourish ourselves through time spent in the Rockies. We love Jasper, Alberta. It's a little bit closer than Banff. We're avid campers. We're avid day hikers. COVID has changed everything. when it comes to enjoying all that the Rocky Mountains are. So there's been a little bit of sort of retreating inwards, towards the home, towards our home, and figuring out what to do to nourish ourselves here at home. Spring is here. Sharon's got the garden going. The tulips have blossomed. Her flowers are coming up. And that's a big part of nourishing the soul. Our souls over the summertime is caring for Sharon's gardens. 3/4 of our property, front, back, and side, is gardens. And I am sure that Sharon talks to her vegetables and her flowers, because everything that she touches with her hands and her soul just grows exponentially. We don't have children, but we have 3 beautiful cats, Peppy, Smooshy, and Bear. Peppy is a Himalayan, and he's a recent addition to our family in the past couple of years. So the 5 of us really connect. The 3 cats, Sharon and I, we spend a great deal of time in the garden. And when we can, hopefully soon, we can get back to camping and hiking in the Rockies. And that's hugely important to us. In fact, very quickly, Sharon and I eloped years ago, and were married at Moraine Lake, right by Lake Louise in Banff National Park. And we snuck in behind the back door, ran off and got ourselves married. And we always wanted to be looking over a glacier lake with 7 mountains, 7 peaks in front of us. So the Rockies, very much like your ocean, play a huge role in nourishing our souls.
I thought when you said we don't have children, I was sure you were going to say, but we have all of these plants. Which is also true, apparently.
Of course it's true. Of course it's true.
So I want to redirect back to Meg. You were talking about food, and some foods are good and some foods are evil. So what sorts of food, because we're and we'll digress into this question next. Everything is changing again for like the 10th time in the last 15 months, but we're actually getting out and going to be around people. So I think anxiety is going to start, if it hasn't already. Anxiety is up certain levels. And what do we do? What do we don't do? I want the answer to the food question, but the next one is, what are things that we can do to like sort of keep ourselves mentally healthy while we're navigating this next phase?
Ooh. Yes.
So food question first.
Some of my favorite 3 words together are eat real food. I mean, that's like, and people don't really necessarily know what that is, but the closer you can eat out of Robert's garden, it's going to be Robert and Sharon are offering up their plants, the better off we will be. All of us will be, just by eating real food. It's so amazing. And as everybody's talking, I'm also thinking about how nourishing it is to cook together as a family, to go to the farmer's market and bring things home and serve a big meal for all of your friends now that we can get together more and share that. So, fruits and vegetables and organic meats and chicken and those kinds of things. I mean, we can have all the stuff. It's just that a lot of the foods that are causing the problem are the ones that, here, I'll put it this way. When a corporation cooks for you, you need to be careful, because a lot of those foods are full of stuff, poisons that you're literally swallowing. There's like up to 10,000 different food chemicals that people are swallowing on the daily, and then they wonder why. Your body's like a chemistry lab, and you're feeding it all these chemicals that it doesn't know what to do with, and so it's creating all of these issues, including mental health issues. And that's something that people don't really know, but there's certain foods that create anxiety, like gluten, dairy products, especially the way they're farmed. But we've got choices in this country, so We can choose real food.
Those certain foods create anxiety, but natural foods don't.
No, not necessarily. So, but, and I'm saying that because each person is different and each person has their own chemical makeup. And as you start to connect with your body, which, as we were talking about, self-care is really like connecting inside and really listening to your body and listening to what works for it and what doesn't. And you can do that with food. That's a wonderful way to learn about what's happening in your body. Just like, how does that make me feel? How do I feel afterwards emotionally? How do I feel for the next day or two after I have that, that I go on the sugar binge, or, we know so much about food. There's so much research out there. And there's a lot that, we can look up and understand about it. But so yes, it matters who you are and what your chemical makeup is and what works for you.
The listen to your body thing, though, it's for everything. It's not just for food, it's for activity. And yes, we all know that a sugar coma might be nice. Well, until the sugar coma comes, we love that big bowl of ice cream or whatever. And if you can have it, if it's a treat, if your body doesn't freak out from it, great. If you can have 2 bites, your body is probably going to be happier than if you binge the sweet stuff and you eat more of what makes you feel good and less of what doesn't. Do more activity that makes you feel good, do less of what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had ice cream yesterday. It was coconut based, but I had ice cream, because I really wanted some. But, it's, and I think that's, it doesn't mean that like I'm always eating this way all the time. I think what happens is that people who will eat that way all the time, and then they wonder why, oh, now I've got diabetes and cancer and heart disease and all of the major illnesses that are chronic illnesses that are happening. And they're not looking at this one area, which is huge because it's what you're putting in your body to nourish yourself. It's just sort of like logically.
I just sort of think of it as a car. Like, we take better care of our cars than we do our own bodies. You wouldn't go to the gas station and be like, whatever, just throw it on in there, and then be surprised if they're like clunking down the road. So we always like put the best gas in and get the oil changed and make sure the tires are working. And like, we just sort of treat our bodies more like that.
Well, I want to thank Meg, the good doctor. That was a wonderful term you used. That be aware if your food is being prepared by the corporate world.
Yeah, corporations are cooking.
Corporate. You know what? I am going to make a note of that. That's the first time I've ever heard it said that way, and so thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, you bet. And I'll just mirror what's been said. A couple of months back, after going for yet another blood test, I noticed that my blood sugar levels, or the test showed that my blood sugar levels were too high. And so with the support of a nutritionist at my doctor's office, we met over the phone with my wife, and we set up a plan. In fact, she was very much impressed with how much I was doing right, but the challenge was for me to stop doing the sugar intake, right? The donuts, the Starbucks coffee, the candy, those kinds of things. And so it's interesting. It's not. Do you feel like it's a well-known fact that there's a relationship between what we eat and how we feel mentally? Suzanne?
Oh, 100%. Yes. Because our body, we have a nervous system that is part of how we metabolize life. And if we're not metabolizing life well, then we're not going to have a clear, open path to the part of our brain that thinks more rationally and imaginatively and creatively. We're going to be stuck trying to regulate this dysregulated state of inflammation or reaction or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Suzanne, do you have, and I loved your car analogy, and all I could think of is the fact that I only filled my car twice. No, I filled my car once last year, maybe twice, which is like,
That's okay. You'll make up
ridiculous.
for it now. Gas prices are going to like $10 a gallon or something crazy. I heard.
Oh,
my
good.
gosh.
So I feel so much better. But it really was the perfect analogy. Look at the things around you that you take care of. Shouldn't you take care of yourself just as well or better?
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to have this philosophy that like, if it tastes good, spit it out. It needs to taste like dirt, you know. Spit it out. There's got to be some chemical in it or sugar or something. Just spit it out immediately. It can't be good for you.
That's so
Yeah, I'm
funny.
sure your nephew loved that philosophy.
Oh, believe me.
That's part of the problem, is that people really believe that healthy food has to taste like crap, you know?
Well, we grew strawberries, we grew spinach, and he actually loved to eat spinach. He would pick it off and then he would bite it off and like spit the stem out, thinking that it was like a stem. But I was like, I didn't care. I had like a 3-year-old eating like 10 leaves of spinach. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, I know. Thank you. Strawberries, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The name of my company, when I was a private chef to celebrities here in Hollywood for 14 years, it was Delicious and Healthy. Because those two things, they get to come together.
So Meg, how did your life transition from, I mean, you have a great backstory that we didn't really talk about, but how did you transition from everything to everything?
Whoa. It was all about healing myself. I had over a dozen illnesses by the time I was in my mid-20s, in and out of doctor's offices for almost a whole decade. And it's when I just decided to take my healing into my own hands and get a chiropractor, because I was dealing with neck and back issues. I would literally be in bed for like weeks at a time on painkillers, muscle relaxers, antidepressants. I had like, again, over a dozen illnesses. So it was in the quest to heal myself that I started to discover a chiropractor who opened me up to nutrition and cooking, and which I already came from a foodie cooking Southern family. So cooking was a big part of my life anyway. But it opened me up to yoga and meditation and then mind-body medicine. And I just couldn't get enough of all of this because I started to heal so rapidly after changing my diet. Removing the foods that were causing all of the problems, that I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to help. I have to study this all the time. And I've been really honestly obsessed with it ever since. It's been like 25 years. So
Have you written a book?
Several.
Oh, several. You know, and my apologies for not being informed about the awesomeness that is you before I came today. I just embarrassed myself when you did this, you know.
no worries. You can't know everything about everyone. And then I have 4 other compilations that I've been in, like, contributed a chapter to. So I always go like, well, is it 6 or 10? But I guess it's 10.
And so Meg and I met because we're both part of Ladies Take the Lead community, and Alina, who's one of my guests next week, put up this post, who's an author, and Meg and I and Marilyn raised our hands, and but this is how you meet people, is you find yourself in situations where you get to meet more people. You know, how did I meet Robert? I go to Canada on Tuesday mornings, and one week he was there. Suzanne she reached out to me, and we have like 60 mutual friends, and we couldn't figure out how we hadn't met yet. So it's really just a matter of being out there and aware, but it's also the way you find your people and you connect. And I wanna lob back to Suzanne, because I know she's got some other good, I'm gonna say food for thought, because I love that phrase, but about what other people can do to replenish their spirit, because it's not just taking care of you like you're a car. What else do you help people do? Because you've also transitioned a lot in your path.
Yeah. Yeah, just to everyone else's story here, I've got the same, my life was like a bucket of bolts and it was too heavy and I wanted to dump out the bolts and I wanted to be carrying flowers instead. So, I started with, I think the mentality of the healing world going back 20, 30 years was very kind of mental focused. It was a lot of just, if we could just reorganize how you think, then you'll feel a lot better. And you'll feel a lot better if you organize how you think. And we forgot that word feeling was really the big part of the formula. So for me, I kind of felt like I was on kind of the leading edge and going into how my body was feeling. So I got into the world of somatics, which is, body therapies and body movement to be able to help myself feel safe in my own body. So when you talk about kind of like nourishing my spirit and getting connected with myself, I had to kind of put this mind thing, kind of like just put a pin in it so I could learn how to feel safe in my body. And that's kind of what got me into the work that I do now, is a lot of the somatic wellness stuff, is to help people feel more safe in their body. And then they can, by nature, just regulate their emotions more easily because their body won't be so overwhelmed that their limbic system, that part of their brain that's an emotional fire alarm, won't be going off. And then they'll be able to access more clarity of mind. So for me, it was all about learning to acknowledge that I had a body. Most people are like, what? Where did this thing come from? When did this get here? What's going on here? You mean my pants just fit tight because they fit tightly? No. Like, you really have a body. Welcome to your body. So I work with people using techniques that help them to kind of awaken their body's expression. And often it's through kind of shaking or just really unfamiliar things that we're not used to, that are very natural to the body, but learning how to build rapport with it and then letting it become more accustomed and familiar with it happening for us, and then just, exploring and growing from there.
Wow.
I'm getting this theme. Body feels better, mind is stronger.
Yes. It's always state before story, because we perceive through the body. We've got a nervous system, a vagus nerve that runs from our gut all the way up to our brain. It's like a super highway of messenger. And it's just messaging, am I safe or am I not safe? Am I safe or am I not safe? And because the world is overstimulating us, we've got so many messages of threat carrying in our nervous system that we've become hypervigilant to life or hypovigilant to life and living in like a low-grade chronic stress all the time. So really helping the body first and foremost to calm down and feel more safe is going to give us access to emotions that we can then process and regulate, whether it's through a coach, a therapist. I love to use energy tapping to kind of help that stuff move through the energy body. And then once you have a regulated body, more regulated emotions, well, then the thinking mind can come back online. I mean, how many times have you, said to yourself, oh, I should have taken that left turn, or I knew I should have called that person back, but you didn't, because the mind has overridden it. And how many times have you just said to yourself, like, I will figure this out. I just have to figure it out. And I'm going to just stay in my head to figure it out. But and then you go, I can't figure it out. I'm just going to make a decision about something. So you decide upon something and you go, well, that's not going to work for the long term, but I had to do something right now. Mm-hmm. And so we really are just so trained to believe that the mental mechanics of how we exist are the solution to the world. And it's not. It's really, we've left, the evolution of our thinking mind has left the body. We need to bring it back onto the body, integrate the two, and build that rapport between the two. That way we can really start to move forward in kind of health, growth, and restoration.
Yeah.
So then
that's how you get into your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot of what you're talking about.
Yes. Well, so much about the
internal
gut.
Guidance system.
What is the gut? The gut is the biggest brain of the body. And where is it located? Right by our psoas, which they call the muscle of the soul. It's by our hips. Mm-hmm. That's where we have the most nerves of our nervous system. So that's where we're perceiving through. And if we're perceiving threat, well, that is going to just lock and squeeze down and make it harder for us to feel our gut impulses. So, when I teach intuition to people, I say, do you know the difference between hell yes and hell no? There you go. Start practicing from there. What does hell yes feel like? Like, that is a yes. If it's a maybe, then it's a no. And start to kind of broaden the range of yeses and nos from there.
Wait, okay. We have to play with this one because, and Meg, you had something to chime in too?
No, go for it.
Okay. the hell yes, hell no, because this came up in the Gold Chat, Twitter chat last night, because people have so much trouble saying no. And then on this workshop I led earlier today, I was saying that when you say yes to other people, you're saying no to yourself, and you need to be better at saying no to others so you can say yes to yourself. But I love this concept. So it's either hell yes, you go for it, or if it's a no. But what if it's a hell no? What if it's a weak no? Does that make it a yes?
No.
Tell me.
No, what's a hell yes feel like? It is so crystal clear. You know it, you feel it in your body. You're ready. You're excited. You've got momentum behind it. You've got a knowing about you. There's excitement. There's expectation about it. And if there's not, then it's a, I don't know, no. And I don't know, or maybe it's a no.
So it's a hell yes or nothing.
A hell yes or a hell no. Yeah.
I would add, though, that sometimes when you're in that middle place where you're not quite sure yet, that I call it the waiting room. And that sometimes you're being asked to sit in a waiting room to wait for other things to sort of come in and come together, those synchronicities in your life, before you can get to the hell yes or the hell no.
I think it's always like that. I think we're always in the waiting room, just waiting for the alignment to have the crystal clarity of hell yes. You know, we're always in that waiting room for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's when we go against the hell yes, that
we
that's
betray
where we
ourselves.
create all kinds of problems in our lives.
Yeah.
You know?
So I often tell people who are, or suggest to people who are trying to find their intuition, be able to believe the impulses of their body. I said, hey, the next time that your body tells you have to go to the bathroom, just be like, oh, thank you. Start petting your body like it's an animal. Thank you for the messages. I want more messages like this. And then just go to the bathroom.
Yep.
How many times does your body say, hey, we've got to go to the bathroom? And you're like, okay, I have to unload the groceries. I have to call 3 people back. I have to text message six people. You go into like a full on negotiation with your body, and your body's just like, yeah, so I'm just going to wait, I guess. Like I told you something, but if you really want to start believing your intuition, start believing the messages that are already in front of you and thanking your body for them and saying, yes, 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 give me more, give me more, give me more. And so when you're driving and you're all of a sudden like, I don't know why I'm feeling like I need to stop and pull over and get avocados, but I'm going to do it. And then you go there and then your friend is there, you haven't seen in 5 years. You're like, I don't even know why I was here. I didn't even need these avocados and blah, blah, blah. You know?
Exactly. Saying yes to the moment, that intuitive sense of knowing what to do next. And I love that you keep talking about the body, because I always say it's a grounding rod for intuition. Your body is. And the more we get in touch with this, the more you get in touch with that, you know? So, yeah. Cool conversation.
Can I ask a question?
No.
So tell me, Suzanne, when you meet with a client who's living with and managing a mental illness, how do you move them to a place? Give me an example of moving them to body first, then mind, versus mind, then body.
Well, I truly believe that every pain and disease in this universe, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, comes from a dysregulated nervous system, because it's always about how our nerves are perceiving what's going on within us, outside of us, around us, relationally between us. And so if there is an issue with the mental health, I would always recommend to learn to feel like, what feels safe in your body? Oh, it's my thumb. Okay. Let's look at your thumb. Let's touch your thumb. What temperature is it? What's the texture feel like? And then just, and I like my wrist too. And start to kind of expand into other parts of the body to help people feel more safe in their body. Because once we can regulate the body, all of that other dysregulation can start to unwind its patterns of tension and stress and trauma even, and come into more regulation. I work with a lot of people who have chronic anxiety and OCD, and those are all just symptoms of the mind just trying to figure out how to think its way out of a physical overwhelm. So I always just say, if you're overthinking, if you're stuck in a loop, calm the body down.
Fascinating.
Meg, do you have 2 cents or a quarter to add?
Yeah, I would even add to that there's this concept called the body mind. So it's not the mind body connection, but the body mind, because the body has a mind of its own. So it will remember experiences differently than your cognitive mind does. And I'll see this all the time in my practice where somebody will have a particular physical issue, say like sciatica. I worked with one woman on that. And then when we got into the body mind, which is really the unconscious mind and how the body was holding the experience, and she was able to see exactly what the thoughts, the feelings, and the beliefs were, she was able to let them go. And once she let them go, her sciatica cleared up. And she's never had a problem with it since. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again because the body's a brilliant instrument, and it's storing every single thing that happens with, around, and to us. And that we have the ability, and we have practitioners like Suzanne and myself that will help you go into that part of you to help you release basically that stuck energy that's stuck in the nervous system, because what is the nervous system but a conductor of energy.
Yeah, and our bodies are energy. We are energy, but we also have to appreciate that we are humans. And when there is a biology about us, and we are living here in this three-dimensional earth with gravity, and it is a real chemical, chemistry set, our body. So as much as we are energy, and we are energy in motion, emotion, yes, those emotions get trapped into our physical body. So therein lies the game of life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and how powerful our thoughts are in keeping us in a particular state, and how those thoughts can also release us from that state.
Absolutely.
It's just like, wow.
That's why I love tapping, especially with writers or anybody. I have a quick story. I was tapping with a woman who I had worked with for years. She had just recovered from breast cancer, and she called me about 2-3 years later, and I was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm going to die," and I'm like, "Why?" She said, "Well, I see all these hospice signs everywhere I go, and it just must be a sign that it's coming back. And you can begin to manifest things in your body based on, am I feeling that? What's going on there?" And so we started to tap to be able to help her kind of loosen the grip on the meaning that she's given that thing called hospice, which is a dirty word for her, a deadly word to her, right? And in her tapping on it, she actually transposed the word to say spicy hoe. Instead of hospice, she said spicy hoe, and she could not stop laughing. She's like, "I will never look at that word ever the same way again." And therein lies, she broke her trance that she had in the death warrant of what hospice had meant to her. And so now she just laughs. And then all of a sudden she couldn't feel anything, and all lumps went away, everything. It was not even that they were really real. It was just all in her mind. So yeah, that's why I love that technique.
Amazing. So we have Estella who's tuning in, and she's developing pain in her lower back. So what should she do?
Yeah.
There's so many approaches. I mean, I think we have a whole range of things that she could do. It really depends on, what resonates with her. I mean, everything works, but it's like Dr. Meg said, it's, what's what you believe. You are what you believe. Yeah. So if you believe one thing over another, you believe someone over another, follow what it is that they have as their guidance, but so many things.
Yeah.
So believe that, well, first of all, believe that you can heal yourself and then heal yourself. Is that one way to do it?
Some people believe that if you drink seltzer, that the little bubbles in the seltzer are going to carry out all the fat cells in your body and you're going to be thin. And if you believe that, then that's what's going to happen. I know somebody who believes that. So it's like the placebo effect. So, we are what we believe. Well, what's real? What's belief anyway? Belief is just thoughts that we think over and over and over again. Other groups of people say, "Oh, I have that same thought too." But the stronger the belief, the more the expectation. So it's pick any modality that you want. But if you believe, the one you believe in the strongest is going to be the one that works for you. Whether it's whatever Dr. Meg does, I do, Robert does.
Yeah, and I would add to that, like for this woman who's asking about her back problems, is I think the first thing that we do when we want to heal something is we decide. which in deciding is a belief. I believe I can, and I believe I will. And when you make that decision, that's the game changer, because then that opens up all of these possibilities to come your direction. So you'll start seeking, and when you seek, you find, right? And so you keep looking for the things that work for you, that resonate with you. And then you get that hell yes, right?
That's right.
Like, yeah, I'm going to go to the chiropractor. Yeah, I'm going to go, talk to Suzanne or.
So I think it's, Deborah, the answer is, whatever this person is intuitively feeling, follow that path.
I'm going to throw something else to her. Estella, when was the last time you had fun? I think you need to stop pressuring yourself to do and just be. And that is my non-Dr. Deb. I call it by web MDEB advice. Is to give yourself a break and stop. See. And I think I picked this up from when Meg and I talked a couple weeks ago. What is that you are carrying on your back? What is that weight on you? Let it go. Let someone else carry it. Go dancing, and you'll feel better.
Shake it off. Wiggle it free.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because the body is a metaphor for your experience. And so if you are feeling weighted down by something, and the back is also associated, she said lower back, right?
Right.
And that's really in the second center of the human energy system. So that has to do with emotions, relationships, finances, inner child. So any of those things, I just think, like when somebody asks questions like that, it's great. And I love to kind of explore it, but it's like, well, I need to ask you 10 questions. So before I know which way to go.
Well, and again, I cannot take credit for what I just said, because we talked a few weeks ago, and what Meg was saying is anytime you have pain is manifesting itself from something else, which is exactly what we're talking about. It's you have to clear the mind and your body will feel better, or you take care of your body and your mind is clear, right? Did I say it right?
Yeah. Take care of your body and your mind will start to open up. Calm the body and the mind will start to open up.
Wow.
Calm the body.
The answer is always calm the body, relax the nervous system, stop feeling so in defense of threat, whether it's physical threat, emotional threat, mental threat. It could be your own stuff inside of you. It could be coming from externally.
And can you give an example of that threat?
If I screamed really loud right now, your body would be like, ah, you would take a deep breath in, right? Your body would tense up, your cortisol would get released, your limbic system, your emotions would go, what the heck is going on here? Am I okay? Oh my God. All I have to do is scream and your body would react.
So where does play fit in as a therapy? In your world, because play is all about our relationship with our bodies.
Right. So when we feel safe, and that we have a part of our nervous system called the ventral vagal nervous system. It is our most modern survival strategy. It is that of something called social engagement. It is not social media. It's social engagement. It means that when the body is threatened, I need to be able to look to another human, mammal, dogs, mostly people with like an animal epidemic these days because we don't feel safe with other humans. We feel more safer with animals, which we have to wean off of, but that's a whole other story. But still, we need to be able to feel safe with another human connection. So I automatically, intuitively, I'm going to look to your face to tell me if I'm okay. And if your facial expression is like, then my body's going to go, oh no, I'm in trouble. But if I smile at you and I give you a nice, pleasant tone of voice, and I lift my eyebrows up a little bit, if I didn't have Botox and you could see my lifted eyebrow, right? Then all these safety cues would be perceived by your body as if I'm okay. And that's when I'm able to be immobile without fear with another human and engage in curious play. If I am too threatened, I'm not going to be able to be immobile without fear with another thing, another animal, another human. And this is why there's a lot of people who don't know how to come down off that stress response and feel safe in their body's experience of what they're living. and don't know how to engage in curiosity or play even. So, I mean, how many times have you run workshops, I'm sure, where people are just like, this is not comfortable. What am I supposed to do here? You know, they can't look each other in the eye because it's way too threatening, you know? So I take people out of kind of the freeze response, which is our most ancient survival strategy, thaw them out literally by helping them orient to time and space, getting them aware of textures and temperatures and shapes and colors. And then from there, help them be able to hear a voice, see a face, look somebody toward their eye gaze. And then from there, be able to build on safety. And in the safety, it's, can I get curious? Can I get excited? Can I come out now? Yeah. Oh, I can engage with you. Oh, you want to play with me? Yeah. So it depends on where someone is at in the range, the spectrum of the stress response. You know, I mean, I work with a lot of trauma people, a lot of people who are really stuck, you know, especially writers who are trying to write their story. They're like, you know, eyeball deep into a bunch of characters that have a lot of wounds, mostly their wounds that they have not processed. So that's why they're stuck in the freeze response. So I help them come out of that for themselves. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know how my story fits together. But yeah, you can be anywhere on the range from freeze, fight, flight to safety. Only in safety can you feel able to confidently, curiously, playfully engage.
Do you work in the corporate world with corporate leaders?
I do.
Awesome. You kick butt there. Do you?
Yeah, I do well, yeah.
I know, like you're totally shifting who they are. And well, first you're helping them confront that part of themselves that needs to be looked at or changed or shifted. Mm-hmm. And do they go back to work as better leaders?
Well, you know, the big buzzword these days is resilience. And what that really means is to be able to be in the flow of life. You know, you can't go into a pool or the ocean and expect to float if you're stiff as a rock. You know, you're going to sink. So I just help people learn how to float. And then in that floating, know, oh, it's raining, I should swim underwater. Oh, it's a hurricane, I really should deep dive underwater and learn how to hold my breath. Or no, it's nice out, I can float and I can swim around. And that's resilience, is being able to know how to adapt to the circumstances of the conditions of what you're experiencing in life and trust yourself through that process.
Well, I think we've all had a crash course in resilience over the last 15 months. Before we wrap, we need to give our audience some good self-care goals. So Robert, do you have a good playful goal for the people?
If you're here today and you're watching this awesome conversation, continue to hang out with Deb. That's the goal I'm going to give you. Stay in Deb's world. Hang out in her world. Hang out in Deb's tribe, because that in itself will open up new ideas, new resources, new ways of thinking. So you don't have to change a lot. You just have to continue doing what you're doing, and that's hanging out with Deb and staying part of her world, because she's pretty awesome. So there's my Deb plug.
I've never been a goal before.
That's the name of your next book. I've never been a goal before.
That's very kind, and I thank you for saying so, because it is, my goal is to help people live a happier, more fulfilled life. So thank you. And I'm going to say connect with Robert so you can see whenever he does his next play workshop, because they're oodles of fun. And I will put, so in the recap, I will also embed the interview Suzanne did with me, the interview Meg and I participated in, and the play workshop that I was blessed to be a part of that Robert did. Was it last month or earlier? It was not that long ago, but time. I have no sense of it.
You're having fun, apparently. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm putting Robert's goal, follow Deb. Okay, works for me. What about you, Suzanne?
My goal is going to suggest that everyone smile at each other.
Yeah.
Smiling is really going to help us, now that more people are taking masks off, and just people that you don't even know. It really can help another person's nervous system feel more safe in just a smile. So go out in there and smile. Smile at yourself in the mirror, but smile at others.
That's awesome. Meg, your turn.
Yeah, I would say let's do something like just being really loving to yourself. We're going through, like you said, we're going through another transition right now. So even just talking to yourself and just saying, I just love you, or calling yourself sweetheart, or, it's okay to do that, sweetheart. It's okay to, you're awesome and I love you and you're amazing, and just keep reminding yourself of your worth and your value and who you really are, something that kind of brings you inside of yourself. Just be nice to you.
I love this concept of giving yourself a pet name, darling, because it's almost like when, and I was talking about this earlier, when you do your future bio, you do it in the third person, but in the present tense. When you're loving to yourself and you're calling yourself good things, I think it gives it more power. So I'm adapting. Be loving to yourself and give yourself a pet name, because it's really, and this was, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic, this woman said to give yourself a hug every day because you can't hug other people.
Yes, exactly.
So
That's
give yourself
a technique.
Yeah, because a lot of people are telling themselves too things about their, like, oh, my belly's too fat, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, and they're literally creating dissonance in their own bodies by just being unkind to themselves, by picking themselves apart. But if you just say, oh, thank you, belly, I love you, belly, you're so amazing, thank you for doing all you do for me, it actually literally helps you with weight loss. I've seen it happen with clients because you're shifting the energy. You're no longer like this.
You're open, and when you're open and things can move around, you can heal.
I think we would solve all world's problems by relieving tension. Relieve tension. That is the solution to every problem. That rub that you're talking about, that's that tension between you and the resistance of just embracing yourself and self-acceptance.
And that's a huge reason of why I do what I do, is I believe people deserve to be happy in some, if not all, of their life. And if what you're doing for your career, your even if it's your passion project, it's something you should love, you should be doing things that you love, because when you love what you do, it will leak all over everything else. So be good to yourself, give yourself the gift of figuring out what you need to do if what you're doing is not working for you, and just be kind. And follow Deb. So apparently, see, I just kind of mixed everything up. Robert, where can people find you, and what is your final tip?
www.powerfulplay.ca. And I want to thank Debra for the invitation. I learned so much from the good doctor, and Suzanne, you blew my mind. That's all I have to say. You blew my mind. And you talked, you shared stuff today that I've never heard before, and it was pretty cool because it was a flip from what I'm traditionally used to thinking. So I appreciated you today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Suzanne, where can people find you, and what is your final thought?
So if you're a screenwriter and you have any writer's block, you can find me at screenwritenow.com. If you are anybody, including a screenwriter, and you have any stress or struggle, whether it's physically, emotionally, or mentally, you can reach me at transformedconnections.com. And my final tip is that you too can transform, because you probably heard this a million times when people say, like, if I did it, you can do it. So true. Be willing and persistent to be more, live life with more genuine aliveness, and you too can transform.
It's a decision. It is a conscious decision to transform.
It's a goal.
Yeah.
It's a Deb goal.
It's a Deb goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Meg, where can people find you and what is your final thought?
Yeah, you can find me at meghaworth.com, and I'm on all social media channels at Dr. Meg Haworth, and my YouTube channel also have some very helpful videos and a YouTube TV series called Intuitive Turning Points. Stories of successful entrepreneurs. And my tip really is to take your healing into your own hands and follow that inner voice to help lead you to what will work best for you so that you can get well.
Beautiful.
In whatever way wellness looks for you, you know.
Wow. This has been a wonderful, amazing, healing conversation. I just feel good hanging out with the three of you. So thank you again, Robert, Suzanne, Dr. Meg, for making this such a wonderful and powerful conversation. If you're watching or listening, thank you so much for giving your time to spend with us today. Again, you can find me at thedebmethod.com/blog if you want the recaps and the links. And I'm at the Deb Method everywhere. And again, yourgoalguidebook.com if you're ready to change your life and set those goals. And in the meantime, I think the lesson from today is just love yourself, be good to yourself. It's a gift and enjoy it. So thanks again. We will see you on Sunday night for the Gold Chat Twitter chat, and next Monday and every Monday at 4 for another Gold Chat Live.